right, folks, so today on the bench we have another one of these TF MSX made by Terrible Fire. This is essentially, well, this is pretty much an actual MSX to specs. The idea of it was to repro the MSX almost exactly to specs. And by that I mean it doesn't have stuff like a tape port. But I think that's the only thing really missing from it. But this is the TF MSX. It's an MSX clone. It's a new MSX, essentially. All right, you want to do it? This video is sponsored. That's not what. This video is sponsored by PCBWay. This video is sponsored by PCBWay. Yeah. They offer PCB manufacturing along with part assembly. Yeah. But they also offer a number of fantastic services like CNC, metal sheet fabrication, 3D printing, and even injection molding, turning it into a one-stop shop for all your projects. Yeah, you did very well. So go to PCBWay.com, upload your project files, and get an instant quote, and thank you to them for sponsoring. This video is sponsored by PCBWay. PCBWay. So I have a couple of these, but these normally come pre-assembled, aside from all the socketed stuff, and I think the FPGA isn't populated on this either, but the rest is. This one, however, I think was, I can't remember who ordered, was it Chucky or Goose, but it came back from the company that was putting it together, not the ones that sponsored this video, the other one, and they had forgotten some parts, namely like all these resistor arrays that are here. I've actually started putting some. The crystals were missing. I just put them in, prompting me to start this video. Also, I've started putting this. I think this is an op amp, and there was, whichever this IC was, wasn't populated. So there was a good bit of stuff missing. Pretty much all the caps were there, except the electrolytics were not populated. And it's also missing all these inductors here for the joystick part. So there's quite a lot missing. This is the top of the board. The bottom of the board isn't populated normally. There's space for probably decoupling caps, but they're not normally populated or needed. So we need to finish this. It's missing some ICs here as well. The RM is there. And then, so we need to put in the FPGA, the RAM for it, all the resistor arrays, all the electrolytics, and then start populating the board with sockets for the RAM, the VDP, the cartridge port. We need a ZAT, the sound chip, and an EEPROM socket, and actually EEPROM. So there's still quite a bit to do, and as well all the connectors. So we need the power, the joystick, the USB, and the RGB port. It's also got space here for two deep switch SMD deep switches. So there's quite a bit to populate. We're missing the crystal here as well for the VDP. So there's quite a bit missing. So I thought we'd do this here in this video, especially because now I have this trusty microscope, which is going to make my life so much easier for doing, especially parts like these tiny little parts that I can't really see even with glasses. And the magnifier doesn't help much. So the microscope is going to be very handy. Incidentally, I usually now started these live on a stream on Thursdays. Is going to be my soldering night. And I do these live, so if you want to join, just make sure you check the channel on Thursdays for the live announcement. But yeah, so we've quite a bit to go. And then after that, I want to do or show you an extra board that Steven has made that is going to be bring that MSX to a whole different plane of existence. You'll see what I mean later. So let's put this one together first. It's quite a bit of work. slight time ellipse here, but essentially I have now put all the SMD stuff, and I put all the sockets in and connectors in and everything that needs to be on the board. So all the joystick connectors, the power connector, USB, RGB port, and the cart connectors. So we just need to populate, and I have the ICs here. Populate. So I didn't film that. I filmed some of the MD stuff. By the way, this thing is just so handy, even for through-hole soldering. I can't see myself not using it now for pretty much anything. Anyway, so I'm going to populate the board with all those ICs. So we need a ZAT, what is it, 2149 sound chip by Yamaha. We need the ROM, VDP, and RAMs here for the video RAM. These are the RAMs 61464. They would be actually, I think that they are the RAMs that would be on the standard MSX as well. So we're just going to put these together. I've also put the little dip switches here to select which ROM we want to use. Right now I'm just going to use the single ROM, so I think it's just going to be 128k ROM, and power this on, see if it works, and then move on to the next phase of this build, because we're not done. Okay, we now have a pretty much complete TF MSX. So right now I'm using just the MSX2 VDP, the 9938. So essentially we need to populate this jumper here for the 9938 and leave this jumper here all the way to the left. So we'll do that. The idea of the jumpers is we can swap the VDP. We can put an MSX2 Plus VDP, and all we need is to take out this jumper and to move this jumper to the right instead. And what better way to test it than a repro cart. And it should boot to Vampire Killer. Nice. Sweet, so our board is working, and for our next trick I want to draw attention to a few things here. You see these little holes here, there's some here, there's actually 4 here. I'm not sure exactly what those are needed for, but we've more here near the RGB connector, we've 2 here for the near the audio connector, more here for the second joystick, and we've 2 here near the power connector. Essentially what we have is the ability to power the board from another source, get the RGB and audio out, and get the inputs from the joysticks, or get them from somewhere else and send them to the machine. And this is why, oh terrible fire, the Ars Biscuit, this is a reference to Father Ted, sort of a running gag now between a few of us. But what this is essentially a Jamma connector that will sit under the MSX, getting those signals, and will allow you to plug your TF MSX into a Jamma cab. How cool is that? That's pretty cool. It's essentially an interface board, but we need to view a few things to make it work with our board here. We need to put connectors under this board, these type of turn pin connectors. So I'm going to do that now, and the way to make sure everything aligns, I'm actually going to put the connectors on here, put the board on top, and just solder them like that. So that way everything will be just exactly aligned. There'll be no messing, trying to realign stuff and bending pins. So I'm going to do that next. For the record, I don't know if you remember this board, and I did actually document it on this channel, done by FabF MSX, which is essentially an MSX1 into a single FPGA. and with a Jamma connector. It's pretty cool. I've been using it for a while now. It's been great to run MSX1 games. It's even cooler to actually have an actual running machine that can work either as an MSX2 or 2 Plus and have that in your Jamma cab. All right, so I have all the connectors in. That was actually that way was actually very easy then, and it just aligns perfectly, and it's easy to remove, easy to put back in. So yeah, that was a good move. I haven't programmed the ARM yet for USB support because I don't really plan on using USB, but I will program it before I give it a permanent spot in the arcade room, because it's always handy, and I want the machine to actually work as a standalone TF-MSX if I need one at some point after that. I'm also going to use this case. So I've made, as you've seen in the previous build of the TF-MSX, I've made my own case for these, and you can download the model for free on Thingiverse if it's open source, and pretty happy with it. It was my first time actually trying to design any sort of 3D object for a 3D printer, so pretty happy with the way it came out. I might make more. My idea is to have just a standard base, and then the top, you can swap the tops, but I just have one top for now, so I'll make more. But I'm going to use this case or shell, whatever it is, that I think Goose made, and I think this was a board that was going, or Goose ordered, or I can't remember if it was Goose or Chucky that came out initially. But anyway, I'm going to use this board, and it'll make things easier to access everything and to mount inside a cab. So I'm gonna just attach this board onto this setup. I'm not sure exactly how it's gonna work yet. Do I need to have a spacer between the two boards or whatever? We'll see. Oh man, this thing looks cool. I love it. I love it. That's a really cool case. It's hard to show on camera, but it's slightly there's like indents in the metal, very subtle. And I think here you can sort of make out the TF-MSX logo. There you go. It's hard to catch, but you can certainly feel the texture, and yeah, it's cool. Lovely case. I've had that for a while. Steven sent me one that I think Goose made, and everything stacks nicely. So honestly, everything is secure here for the board. That's great. So it should be a simple matter of plopping a cart on this here and trying it in one of my Jamma cabs. Okay, here's our retro sandwich TF-MSX Ars biscuit put together. Plugged in the Jamma cab. This is so cool. Oh my god, terrible fire. Thank you so much for making this. This is so cool. The colors are a bit faded. I think there's amps on the board, and this jumper you can select to have the amps on or off, I think. So I might do that first, but I just wanted to check that it works, and let's just this is so cool. Can finally play a proper MSX 2 Plus. Right now it's running an MSX2 ROM, so it's a bit slower. It's at 50 hertz. But that's just details. I'll put in an MSX2 Plus VDP in there at some point with an MSX2 Plus ROM. But there you go. All right, there's not a ton of light here, and it's actually very cold. We're getting into the colder part of the year now, into December. So let's go back to the workbench and wrap up this video. I might just play for a second. I need to make this a permanent fixture in my arcade room. So I connected everything, all the connectors are here, including USB and all that kind of stuff. The reason is I want it to be, if I decide to take it out of the Jamma cab and want to use maybe for a convention, something like that, or a meeting or whatever. I want to be able to use that as a full TF-MSX or full MSX really as well. But for now, it's going to be a permanent fixture in my arcade room. Really cool unit. Oh my God, I love this thing. Absolutely love this thing. I'm a sucker for anything MSX. Anyway, but there you go. I need to talk about where to get a TF-MSX at the moment. I know Chucky has been making some. He's made a good few by now. So this is who you really want to contact. And Chucky's not going to like me for saying that. He'd rather build Amiga stuff. But if the demand is there, he'd certainly build more. So Chucky, John Hartle, Chucky, you'll find him if you Google his name, Chucky TF, Terrible Fire. You'll find his name easily enough. If he can't build them, he might be able to point you to somebody that might as well. Me, it's not something I can take on. I have too many projects. I have this channel to run. So building stuff and doing customer service on these things is not something I can offer. But Chucky, that's what he does, at least for Amiga. And I know he'd rather do Amiga stuff, but he'll probably do a few of these if you ask him nicely. Anyway, folks, hopefully Chucky won't send me too much hate mail. Thank you for watching. I hope this was interesting. It was a cool build and first build using my new scope, so I'm pretty happy with the result. And there you go. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time.